Whoa. Alright, I wonder how the light is here. Anyway, of course we gotta do the obligatory camera adjust. Power Grid for Sparks. It's not Power Grid. You know, I mean, it tries to use very, very similar rules. Having fought through Power Grid's rulebook, reading this one was about the same as playing Power Grid again, in terms of, you know, I had some familiarity with it, so the rulebook was not as painful to try to decipher. But boy, Friedman Fleisch does not do a very good job, or his translators, but one has to assume the formatting did not get translated into incomprehensible of presenting rules. These, like Power Grid. You know, you kind of think, well, Power Grid, first game, man. Dude didn't know what he was doing. Stroke of genius. Couldn't explain rules. You'd think that criticism would have kind of taken hold, and by this point, I think this is his third game, maybe more, who knows. He would have, I don't know, put some effort in to try not to make them a jumbled mess, to try not to do obscure things. Other components are good. You got all these nice little wooden pieces that come with Euro games usually. Tiles. Cute idea. I almost wish that, I understand for design purposes that you want to provide some balance, but it's still possible to draw, at least in a small number of players, a board that doesn't have a certain resource, or a board that's very, very short on a resource. I almost wish that these were cut in half and could be placed, not in the enforced manner that they are. I think that would add a little bit of interest to the game, but, you know, they work nicely. They allow you to have a difference in the board. And really, this is why the game is different. Between this and the cards, this is what makes the game different all the time. But the cards don't have the same effect. So the cards are going to have this effect, as well as these, on how much stuff there is here. But it's not like in Power Grid, the original, where the plants that are out there and running really, really affect the resources that are out there. And those resources are are calculable in a way you can look at. Here, yeah, if you're not one of the last players, therefore going first all the time, you're able to pretty much do what you want in this. If you happen to be the first player, or one of the first players, and therefore going late in the turn all the time, you can see why I have a gripe against the rules, no? Then you do have to be kind of careful. You do have to keep an eye out and say, hey, I don't know, do I really want this resource? A lot of people are hunting mammoths right now. Maybe I'm better off picking berries. I don't know. But you don't really have that ability to shift on a dime. Your hunting and gathering strategy is developed over turns, over a lot of turns. So as you go ahead on the chart and start getting more and more people, then you're going to get less food, potentially, because of this kind of, you just get driven into this position where you're not going to get the first pick at food. Well, that kind of sucks, but there's not a lot you can do about it. It just is going to happen, right? You come ahead. Now, if you go ahead, if you're doing well and you happen to have fields, you're immune to this. But I don't know if the fields, I like them, but we saw the guy who had 3 fields didn't really kick butt Okay? He didn't have the same production as the other leading players. Or as the leading player. It just didn't seem like as effective a solution, even with the plow in place. And that's the only way that I can really see aiming for it. It's strange because it doesn't seem like a bad solution. If you look at the numbers on those Fields cards, you're not paying all that much for the assured production. But one thing that never seems to happen, at least in the couple games I've played, is these just don't drain. I mean, the card distribution might come out, I guess, in a way where, wow, you know, everybody's hunting mammoths and somebody doesn't get any. But in general, it's more just you don't get as many. You're not going to wipe the mammoths out. And that brings me, I don't know, towards the end of the last one, I came to this, one of the things is there's just not a lot of fluctuation. It's a steady progression forward. And I've seen other people mention this as well, that there's not a lot you can do to your opponents, a little bit. There's only so far you can reach. You got to maintain this kind of balanced level in the middle. If you go too far outside of it, you see what happened to White in my game. They lost because they stretched too far. And if you don't stretch far enough, you're not going to be able to catch up in the end. So you've got to kind of purchase an amount of people that's in the middle along with everyone else. You've got to keep your money for your cards. That's a hard thing for me to save. And the other hard thing for me is this game involves a lot of counting as opposed to for what is for me almost intuitive mathematics that happens in the regular Power Grid. In this one, I've got to spend effort counting, and counting is a lot harder for me, I'm finding. This is odd, you know, I mean, maybe some people find counting easier. Some people complain, oh no, there's math. For example, my wife hates adding. She hates any arithmetic, and I don't think has any real concept of any higher math. So, counting may not be bad for her. Although she found this as well, as much as I did, less interesting than the original Power Grid. This one's really cute. This one's got, you know, these great little enemy pulls or whatever. Actually, these guys. It's got cards that are really, really cute images on them. I liked the original Power Grids cards better, but my wife liked these because of their kind of humor, etc. in them. But I kind of like the smog and that picturing. I pictured what was going on in the original Power Grid better. The expansion across cities. Here, the board feels more abstract to me, and it's actually something I almost want to take across the line with these Euro games. There are so many of them, and none of them tell, or very few of them tell, a very good, concrete, strong story. They're not. I don't feel like I'm intuitively doing what I'm supposed to, what I'm represented as doing. Here, I don't really feel like I've got clans hunting. I feel like I'm doing a lot of math again, or counting at least. I don't like doing that. And the first couple games you see of this type, you say, that's a clever little game mechanism. But now when you begin to collect, as I have, you know, a pile of these, and you start saying, damn it, man. Yeah, it's another clever mechanism. Great. You know, let's just... I want to depress the score on all of them, to tell you the truth. Because I feel like I'm rating them just on, well, how good a game is it? Let's ignore what it's representing to some extent. Yeah, but, you know, in some cases, you're just turning away and you're saying, you know, look, great, you're another game with a clever mechanism. Fine. Now, in this case, the clever mechanism isn't that clever. It's really just kind of a downgrading of the original Power Grids design. And one of my thoughts was, okay, maybe it's a cleaner, easier version for people who do not like doing the arithmetic. But I kind of feel, and maybe I'm mistaken about the original Power Grid. Maybe it's got this same kind of progression issue where there's nothing you can do about the leader just stretching forward, unless he falls on his own A screen. Well, that's definitely the issue here. I didn't get that feeling so much in the original Power Grid. There were more choices in the original, and they were more intuitive choices. Yeah, I gotta hook up more cities, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. This doesn't make sense. You can't apply the Power Grid mentality of, oh yeah, I'm collecting raw materials, although there's something missing in Power Grid, which is the ability to buy in bulk and get a discount, but we'll talk about that. This is not the place for that. But having more people spread around grabbing food doesn't really help feed all your people, okay? This is sort of a Stone Age type flavored game. It's not matching it. It feels like I'm running, a power network here, right? It's so abstract and so divorced from the concept behind it that it loses out there. Anyway, I gave it a 6, but maybe I'm being a little generous on this because I don't really see a lot for this. It's not the introductory level for Power Grid, which is kind of what I thought it might be, I don't think. Because actually I find it harder to grasp because it doesn't link as well to reality. It's also not... the choices don't seem as interesting. Maybe there's something more subtle here. There really may be. In the sense of the picks, I feel require more advanced planning in this game. Maybe more than I'm capable of. And that may be some of my disagreement. Why more advanced planning? Well, spreading out to get the commodities you want bears, that requires some effort. So you look at the cards and you say, well, can I get those? Okay. Can other people get them? What's it all going to balance? I feel like some of the decision making actually may be more subtle and complex than I'm capable of handling, which may be very appealing to some people. Across the board, I like games to be simple. Okay? To me, the original Power Grid was simple because all I'm doing is I'm dealing in commodities. It's very clear what's happening. Here, it's not so clear what's happening, and I can't relate upon, my limited domain knowledge of a hunter-gatherer society to help inform me here. I can rely on my limited domain knowledge of, power markets to understand Power Grid. And that's a big key to me. On the other hand, this kind of having to plan ahead based on what cards are out there, what other people have, and what's on the board, doesn't appeal to me, but I could see it appealing to some people. So I've got really mixed views on this. I'm glad that I was given a copy of it. It's, I want to thank Joe for this, but I don't think it's going to be a big. I don't think it's going to be a big hit for me in terms of. I just don't see ever really wanting to play this terribly much. But it's cute, and it's yet another one of these mini. Hey, there's a cute little mechanism that goes with this other pile of cute little mechanisms that make up the realm of Eurogamer. Alright, that's it.